Hi everyone, I'm Deonna Ackermann from the Clinical Epidemiology team in the Sydney School of Public Health. So in this presentation, I'm going to introduce a novel intervention for teaching evidence-based medicine, rapid evidence for practice or REP modules. So previously, EBM content in the Sydney Medical Program was delivered through face-to-face lectures and small group practical workshops. But student feedback suggested that they couldn't engage with or retain the large amount of content that was delivered in these traditional lectures, and they weren't ready to apply it in the critical appraisal workshops. In addition, many students reported that they didn't see the practical or clinical relevance of evidence-based medicine. So we adapted the TBL framework into REP modules to provide students with EBM knowledge and skills, and to prepare them to apply evidence within short timeframes, simulating real-world clinical contexts. So I'm going to take you through the REP module structure. And first of all, there's a preparation phase where didactic content is introduced in short online asynchronous videos, which allowed students to work at their own pace. And students were also asked to read a paper for the REP activity. The readiness assurance phase had two parts. Firstly, an individual online readiness quiz, and then a live forum which had three sections. There was a panel session with clinician researchers discussing their research involvement and how they use evidence in practice. And then there was a critical appraisal walkthrough, which is a guided appraisal of a journal article. So this wasn't a lecture, but a practice activity for students. And then there was a question and answer session to clarify and correct any misconceptions. So that brings us to our application activity, our REP activity, where students worked in teams of 4 or 5. They're given a clinical scenario and a relevant journal article, and they work through a series of questions based on the 5 A's of evidence-based medicine. And then the students submit a decision map, which illustrates how evidence and clinical knowledge and patient values intersect. And then we have a post-REP activity reflection, where we review challenging aspects of the task. And we also provide feedback on the decision map, and general feedback is given to the year as a cohort. And also we gave direct feedback to teams if a rubric element didn't meet the expected standard. So in May this year, 258 Year 2 medical students completed a REP module on randomized controlled trials. And student feedback was collected by questionnaire using closed and open-ended items. Data was analysed using descriptive statistics and thematic analysis. And student feedback was positive. When asked if overall they were satisfied with this approach to teaching evidence-based medicine, 82% agreed or strongly agreed, and only 5% disagreed. And these are the responses that relate to the preparation and readiness phases. I'll just highlight a few. Short online videos are my preferred method for learning basic knowledge. 82% agreed or strongly agreed, and no one disagreed. Reviewing the readiness quiz questions allowed me to correct mistakes and improve my understanding of concepts. 79% agreed. And the forum critical appraisal walkthrough prepared me to engage in REP session activities. 83% agreed. So these items related to application and feedback. I'll just highlight the first one. REP activities helped me develop a way to use evidence to approach clinical questions. So 91% agreed, and there was no disagreement. So what did students value about REP modules? Firstly, the overall structure was valued due to the stage transition from knowledge acquisition to practice to application. And then in addition, each component was valued for its role in the process. The short online videos were perceived as an effective method of delivering basic content, and the readiness assurance phase was valued as a practice task. And the REP activities were valued because they represented real life simulations and were an opportunity for the students to apply their knowledge. Which leads into the next theme, that students perceived that REP modules were useful for their future careers. I'll just highlight that second quote. Can see myself using this strategy as a clinician in the future. So what could be improved? The clinician researcher presentations were not received as well as other elements of the REP modules. So we're reviewing how we'll run those sessions next year. And the other important point was to avoid repetition of basic content. And this particularly relates to the readiness assurance phase, where really we want to give students the opportunity to practice rather than repeating the basic content. So our REP module on RCTs was highly valued by medical students as an effective structure for learning and for its perceived clinical and future career relevance. There were additional benefits because it provided students with the experience of small group learning, but in a large group setting. And so this reduced the number of teaching sessions and facilitators required. And it could be run completely online, which was a bonus during the pandemic. So we would recommend that medical educators consider using REP modules to teach evidence-based medicine. Thank you.